Alright team, so welcome to this section where I'll be teaching you another strategy, something I still use actively as of making this video, and I didn't make them that long ago, as you guys can see, I'm looking pretty fresh. Look at straight out of heaven, you feel me? I know you guys feel me. Anyways, that's not what you're here for. You guys are getting some strategies. You guys also understand that when you guys practice a strategy, you have to do it over and over again. You're not going to watch the video once and then just go and start killing in the market. That's not what it is. It's about repetition. You have to practice until you make perfect, or as close to perfect as we can possibly get. But you have to practice. So watch it over again. Practice in demo. You practice any strategy in demo repeatedly. And another important tip that I want to tell you is that whatever you're going to load your live account with, if you're going to load your account with $1,000, make sure your demo is $1,000. Don't have a demo of $10,000. Yeah, you could say that the strategy will work the same regardless. It will. However, the mental part will not be the same, because on the demo, you're going to be used to making $10,000 when you succeed in the strategy, or lose about $5,000 when you down, and that's not going to fit you at all. However, when you enter your live account and you're trading and you're making money and you move the same pip equivalent as you did on the demo account. So instead of making $10,000, you're seeing yourself make $100 or $90, and you're going to feel very demotivated. It happens a lot. You're like, this is not working. Then you start to overtrade. You start to get greedy because mentally you're used to seeing those big numbers. So load your demo with what you're going to load your live with. If you're not going to load your live with $1 million, do not load your demo with $1 million. You make sure you load it the same so that you can practice and get used to seeing those kind of numbers first, and then you gradually grow with it. That's what it's about, because that's how demo destroys you. Demo can destroy you, and that just is what it is. Anyhow, let's just get into the video. Basically, you guys know the vibe. Before I start trading, I always gotta have my SNR zones. My SNR zones are very, very important to me because they help me determine just where I can expect the market to slow. If you guys saw my TP and SL video, you know exactly. I know with my SNL zones, I know where the market's gonna slow, where I can expect momentum to slow a little bit, or where I can expect it to breach, and so on and so forth. So I always mark up my SNR zones always before I take a trade, and I always do this majorly first on the H1 always. As we can clearly see, when it comes to this particular strategy, we're just looking at basically the trend with what we can see, right? Like what's happening. We're noticing like what, a little curve, a little bend. We're noticing like a little curve with everything, you know, kind of like noticing like a little curve on everything, right? Price is kind of just doing like a little dip, but it's kind of picking up as well, especially from the lowest point over there. Price was going up as well, has been going up and has not come back to this particular point in time. However, not a really direct trend. It did trend downwards for some time, but it's kind of like a pickup. With this strategy, you're kind of just looking at what is on your screen at the very moment. So another thing I want you to notice when it comes to trading NAS100 and US30, and I have too, is after major drops like this, even if it's not immediately, right? Eventually when it's trading and whatnot, and you always look at your charts with an overview like this, you will start to notice when price is picking up. When price is starting picking up, when you notice lots of dips or lots of rises, expect price to go and mimic exactly what it did here in the opposite term. So basically, if it was bears, expect the bulls to do the exact same thing around the same time, and expect the same thing to happen. If it was bears, then expect bulls. If it's bulls, expect bears. And what this is these are major news drops. These are news events. This is actual economy being affected. And as we know something, because we are currently in like a stable economy in a sense, we can always expect, you know, this to happen, but then a pickup, especially if it's something that's pretty stable and it's been around for a long time and it's not nothing new. You can't always expect a pickup. It's always good to know these things when trading. It's not just about looking and then taking a buy or a sell. It's about knowing the economy as well. So I did determine at this point in time that, okay, it's probably going to come up as well. What stopped me from getting caught out over here? Nothing. I probably did take the trade, and I can't remember. This was December. We took a couple of trades in December actually, but I would have probably entered on a buy thinking it was going to come and finally undo this drop. But you know, I would have been taken out or I would have secured profit. Doesn't really matter. But the next rise is definitely what I was looking for to take a buy, because we had that major drop. And with the strategy, it's about knowing when we have major drops, expect the pickup. You see, we had a major rise, just a major strong candle that was based upon news or whatnot. Didn't fall immediately, but when it did start to break your zones, you did catch it. And how do you catch all these movements? It's off of S and R. Knowing where S and R is important, S and R is, you can always catch these moves. So you might not catch this buy, but you can definitely catch the sell off. You might not have caught this drop, but you will definitely catch when he's buying. That's what it's about. That's why S and R is very important. So now let's mark up our zones. So we're just looking overview right now. Let's mark up closest to where price is at. We got over here, right? Very important zone. Right, because price has been here before. We don't want to mark up all the way there, but if we're marking up close to price, we have this zone right over here. Very, very important. Let's mark above. Close to above where price is at, right? Now, the reason I didn't look for any zones between these two areas is because I'm trading the area going above. The reason is only because of that major drop. Because of this major drop, I'm trading the distance between those two. That's where my last TP is going to be. It's going to be up here. The reason for this is, of course, because like I said, when you watch these things for years, you understand that after major drops or major rises, not too long after, there's gonna be the equivalent, the opposite equivalent, always. And if you mark up significant zones, you will always catch that moment. And this zone is significant because it did look at it was like it was going to do what we wanted it, but it did spike back down, you see? And then it's come back to this area, and we are getting a strong candlestick going up. So now let's come a little closer and mark up zones in between, right? So let's just get something at the bottom, right below. Let's get a support zone. We have a nice support zone over there. We have a nice support zone over there. We don't have to mark anything below because we definitely want to take a buy. And this is basically for buys or sells. If you're confident in the direction based upon the trend and a strong movement in that angle, we don't necessarily have to keep worrying about marking lap zones below, because that's not what we're looking for. Now everything is blue. The candlesticks are green. So what we want to do is buy, and sell would be vice versa. They just be red. Because we want to sell. So now we're trying to look for all the indications of a strong ass buy. Number one, strong candlestick on the H1, right? Strong candlestick on the H1. Let's see what's happening on the lower time frame just to make sure we're double verifying. Strong candlestick on the M15 as well, of course, because I mean if it's going to be strong on the H1, it's going to be the same on the lower time frames. I think the M5 is actually a little above, of course, but you know, trading views sometimes. So what we would do initially to enter this trade, would we just hop on immediately or wait for the candlestick to close? We always wait for the candlestick to close. Now that's also another thing that's very important when it comes to trading. You always check at the time. What time is it that this candlestick might close? What time is it? That's what's very, very important when it comes to trading view. Not trading view, trading in general. So you want to always make sure that this candlestick closes above this. So before you enter the trade, check what's happening with the actual time. So if this was a minute, if this was 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes before this candlestick closed, I was entering on the trade. And here's why. That's not a lot of time for the candlestick to drop and go against us. There's not a lot of time for the candlestick to go against us. It's probably going to close at this level, if not a little higher. So therefore, I am going to take my trade. Now, where am I going to place my S and L? You know me. SL is going to be below where price is at. It's going to be below the zone that it's breached before, but not so tight, of course, just in case we do have like pullback, you know, just wicks coming out. That's exactly where I'm going to place my buy. And then I'm going to go on over to my M5 to see what's happening. I'm going to let the M5 play out just a little bit. So of course, everything would be working in unison, of course. So that's about where the M5 was. And when price closed, it did close on this level, as I remember correctly. So adjust that. That's where we would have taken our buys. Well, I did take my buy on this trade, but this is where we would definitely have taken our buys. And my SL would definitely be probably on this level over here, where it had that previous, where price had, you know, previous little zone that it created over here. We're not going to mark it up, but I'm sure you can probably see it. And that's where my SL is going to be, as I deem it to be a safe place from any pullback. And then my SL is all the way up top, and we just let this play out. Now, when you start to enter a good amount of profit, I cannot stress this enough, always secure partial. Always secure partial profits when you're in good profit. Start to move your SL when you're starting to be happy with your profit, just to make sure you alleviate the risk when it comes to trading. So what I do is I always mark up on the H1, drop down to the M15, check what's happening, and then look for at the M5 for entry. And in another video, I'm going to go in depth on everything, so you guys really get it, so you really understand it in depth on what I look for, waiting for time. And in the next video, I'm going to be doing this on the actual live charts as of making this video, and then we're going to see how it plays out as well, just so you guys can actually see that this actually works very well, especially when you practice it and do it right. You always make sure to mark up support and resistance zones on the H1. You can even change up their color just to make sure you always know what's marked up in the H1 and what's marked up on the lower time frames, and then you trade it. And as you see, we just kept buying. We literally just kept buying. We literally just kept buying, and TP was hit. And as you see, it did respect that zone, right? It didn't break the zone, but it did respect the zone. And when you see that pullback and you see it start to fall, so what I was doing on the H1. So on the M5, you would have seen it fall. On the H1, you'd have seen it start to create all that momentum. You probably have entered a trade over here for a sell, just to get in on a sell. SL probably back up there, or SL all the way up there. It doesn't matter. You probably be taken out of this trade though. I definitely see people being taken out of this trade for sure, because you see that long wick went to just take the sellers out. But as you can see, once you have these zones, price tends to respect them. And if it doesn't respect, it does slow. But if it does break, it breaks very strongly. You see? Do you see that slow in momentum? We did mark this up, and if you keep them on your charts, you will always have them. You will always have them. You see how momentum slowed and you started to buy. If you cross references to your lower time frames, you can always find the best possible point of entry. The breach, the retest. That's all it was. Finally, it breached, went back up, still respects the zone. I just want to show you that it always does respect your zone, and when it breaches, it does go in that direction strongly. And now we've kind of just played between these two zones. You see what I'm saying? Respect, respect, respect. Little fine-tuned adjustments you probably have to do, but it definitely does respect, and that's why you have the lower time frames to cross-reference. So it breached, you would have bought, made some profits. And these zones, so when you start to see price start to do things like this, clearly means what? We have to mark up new zones, and that's all it is about. Now then it's adjusting and marking up new zones, but still keeping your old ones, because it's still going to respect. Because all for the last time we actually took the trade, which was weeks ago, hypothetically speaking, was weeks ago, right? It was on the 2nd of Feb. It respected it long after, before it started not creating new zones. That's why it's always important to leave them on your charts, and it'll be very, very beneficial for you. All right, team, I'm gonna catch you in the next video where I'm gonna go super in depth on everything. I'm still gonna break it down for you even better, just to make sure your understanding is absolutely whole and complete on it. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.